Hey guys, hey Transporters, Rails of the World here, or Callum, as I said before. Either works, I don't mind. I'm more known. If you want to know me, call me Rails or Rails of the World, I don't mind. Or Callum, that is fine. Anyway, episode 2 of How to Build a Route in Trainz. This is 22, they'll be the same for 19. Tane's slightly different, but you have very similar, if not the same, tabs and stuff on the right. So, as I said in the last episode, episode 1 we've done how to start the route. Episode 2 is the tabs. So, in this episode, I'm going to go in depth with each of the what they do on the baseboard, and then you know. So we have topology, as I showed in the last episode. So the first tab, it says height up. You can press U for this. It's just for the ground level. So with this radius thing, if this is at this size, if you make it middle, it's a bit bigger, and then the last round is the bigger one. So yeah, then you have sensitivity, which is obviously this sensitivity is not very big. The more sensitivity you go up, the higher this will grow, the hill in the middle. So what I tend to do whenever I build a route, so I'll do this as an example as a hill here. I'll undo it for now, and I'll make a hill up. Let's just do this, and then what I tend to do is, rather than even a hill like this, because if you have train, it doesn't look the best. So if you want to make a proper hill, what I tend to do is, if you smooth it out, not make it full on sensitivity. You can go a bit less, and then if you just smooth it out, so or even a little radius, and then do this, you can then smooth it out around the hill, like so, and then try and get the hillside on the billboard, the baseboard, is a billboard, baseboard to look better. So you know, doing this overall and at certain heights does help. And then you want to lower this. So for instance, if I make this hillside is too big, I'll make this a bit the hill and the cone a bit too much. Then let's do that again. But what I tend to do is, if you use plateau, and let's say next one, you have adjust height. Adjust height is one I tend to use actually. So you can, this is more, it's more in jumps rather than smoothness. So I don't recommend using that one because it is like in jumps, it's not the best. You have these bits, and then you have the get height. So let's say for this top of the tallest bit I've got here, it's 84 meters. I don't know if it's meters. I don't know if it's meters. 84 something. Then you have the use height. So you're using the 84.33 as the height. So then you can then flatten it out. The one after that is your plateau tool. So if you wanted to, I'm about to build into accent. Plateau tool. If you wanted to, this is the tool I tend to use for smoothing out. So if you wanted to make a hill smooth, put up your radius and the sensitivity, and then just go around the hillside using that to smooth it out. So I will quickly do this on this corner here, and you'll see the difference. So what I tend to do is this, just to smooth out the hill to make it more realistic and more hill-like. Even though some people do it really well building a hillside, make it really smooth. It just takes a lot of time and effort to try and get the hills smooth as you may like, or as you may desire. So pretty much that. It's quite easy to do this, because if you wanted to make a hillside smooth, then you can do it like so. So then overall, let me just do a little bit more. Overall, you have a decent hill there. So this is, I'll keep this here an example and use this as part of the route, because I can put a tunnel through this, for instance. But I'll come back to that when we get a next episode for tunnels. Tunnels will be episode 4, so there's one after this one. So yeah, example like so. So there we go. So that's roughly how I tend to do hills on my own Trainz route, and probably future Trainz routes when I start doing more stuff, because I do want to try and do more to it. So that's that. So then you have water. So I will then, for also going to build a bridge, I might put a thingy here, but I'll get onto that as the water in a second. So then you have this. So I got tip from Sudbury and Station Master. If you use the 5 meter boards, it is more accurate, and it's a small squares, so you can get better hillside movement, smoothness. But it's fine. So if you want to add another baseboard, if you click this update ground, excuse me, you add it. You can click on either 4 corners, edges of this current baseboard. You always have a starter baseboard on the route, always, no matter what. Mine's grid thingy, but if you start it on a normal default default route grid, new route, it becomes its grass. So I would recommend the grid, and then using that as your basis to build up the track and all that the stuff. So as I said, so we have put another left, right there. I've also put another one behind this, and I'll leave it there because I've got a plan for something. So so if you wanted to then, so with this, so if I type in to here, so use height, type in here, let's say minus 12, it will then use minus 12 as the height for, you know, to down. So then what I can do then is then use the plateau again, bring this radius a bit smaller, and go around the water bit, the bit I just dropped, to then put in the water. So if you do water in a, say, rough area wherever you want it, so let's say there, you then use the adjust water height. You can press the, as you see, each, so U, D, A, these have plus and minus, so it's all on your keyboard. You can see the little things, the bracket sensitivity, the get heights G, the use heights H. People use these just as quick key shortcuts. P plateau, E, W for the water, so yeah, fair enough. E for the water height, and Q for the remove. It's all close. So if you're doing stuff, you can just press it. If you know how to do it, you can do it quickly rather than doing this all the time with the mouse. But I don't tend to do that, so it's whatever. So this, and then you lower it, so then it should make the ones around the edge disappear. You need to have to add more water to the edges, so there we go. So then we have a little lake. I will keep the lake there for the part of the route, and you'll see the whole thing progress. The baseboards, you've done that. Then you have advanced bits. Don't need to worry about this as much. So you have ground here. So your displacements, these are a bit strange. So I'll show you one example. For displacements, so all it does, it just makes ground look rough. They're all the same. So you have displacement 1, 2, and 3. Hillside, which is not very big. Don't tend to use these very often. I don't know how many people who do. Mountain 1, Mountain 2, Mountain 3, Mountain 4, slope. Slope's quite cool, decent one. You can do a slight slope. Again, if you want to make a hill, a ramp smooth, you can do that. Especially with the displacement directions, you can do that. So you can smooth the direction with this. That's better now than the compass. You can use the compass for that, but whatever. Veil is like that. So if you wanted a ramp or a bridge, easy that way. Valley 1, Valley 2, Valley 3, Volcano, and then none. You can also do with the ground, you can also have Turf FX, which is quite a good thing, but I wouldn't recommend it because it can lag your game and cause issues. But that's if I would recommend if you have a good computer for that, because of the how much detail you can do with that. So I've used it before, as I've said, but I had a problem with it, crashed my game. Crash my game. It made my route corrupt, so I've not used it since because of that reason. But anyway, so paints, as I said before mentioned, I'll come back to those when I start to do. But as an example, so if I find a grass texture I want to use, depending on the grass, so we'll say let's go US green grass as an example, and I'll make some hillside green. Actually, let's use something different. I want something a bit more. Let's do ultra texture. This one. Let's use this instead. I know it looks funny, but what you can do as well is mix it up a bit. So, for instance, for some of this, let's go radius, and let's put some dots in small patches all over the place. I'm just gonna do it rough, as I said. It doesn't really matter. But, you know, some people will do mixtures of different colours around and mix it up a bit and that kind of thing. You can do it quite well if you know what you're doing. I'm just gonna do rough so you can see. You can see the differences here. So some of the textures are ultra ones and really high textured. Some are little patchy grass bits. It just makes it look better if you have multiple bits around pieces. Because obviously green grass outside, if you look outside, you know, all along real river lines, you can see that it's not all just one colour. It is one colour, but like, you know, realistically, you don't want just one. I mean, my own Trainz route is like that, but I've done a lot of scenery and stuff around the edges. So, you know, you kind of mix up a bit and do that. So I mean, that's rough, but you know, you can add a lot more to that. So there we go. So next tab, it's a quite longer video, but it's fine. Next tab, you have the buildings. So as I said before, so if I go back to the textures, so you have the direction for this, so it just shows you north, northeast, southwest, never eat, shredded wheat, or whatever you want to else thinking about. That's one way I remember northeast, southwest. Is never eat shredded wheat, because it's just one of those things I learned from school. But you know, everyone's different, or I don't know any others. But scale again is the same as the other one, just gives you the bigger area to cover. This select area is quite handy. So if you want to use, let's say, ultra this grass, and let's say you want to cover an area, so I'll go back up here, we'll cover this bit of hillside at the top. So then you have select area, which is on this white line, it's a dotted white line. You then use the fill area to fill in the area, or you can cancel selection if you don't want to fill in. But you know, so that then just does a square. Sometimes that's quite handy, but wouldn't always recommend it because of the. I wouldn't always. I would recommend it, but I don't always use it myself. But that's okay. On two buildings. So for some buildings, let's put some random bushes down, but I'll think of something, which I'll come back to that. I'll do that when I come to track work, because I'll do that when I come to that. So with this, let's put in, again, same as the splines, track work, I'll do that as a later thingy. But back to the tab, so again, you have your object mode, and then you have plus, move, rotate, and get. So if you want to get the same object from another route, you can then go over to your display menu, your search filter at the top, and you have a pick list at the side, which is like a bookmarks tab, kind of, so you can come back to whatever. So for instance, if I say on this thing here, I've got Brunton House, this thing for instance, or Barton Industries, or Warehouse, West Country Church. So this church, for instance, I want to put a church, let's say put a church here. Right, as I was saying, so I was going to put a church in this area. So I'll use this height, let's say 42, and I'll make a bit of a platform here, and then I'll smooth off the front edge. Then I'll make that a bit flat again, because it's 42 and maybe a bit smaller, flatten it off a little like that, and then put the church here, for instance. So with the church, so you have stuck, obviously, onto the edge. You then can move it, so we'll move it to there, and I'll rotate it, an example, but I'll move it a bigger church and that space instead, just for a bit of fun, on the hill. So there we go, so that's a church on the hill, so that's quite cool. Next bit, you have obviously get, so for instance, if I change, let's just choose here, so I want to find that church again, let's scroll back, knowing where it is. I should have a windmill as well, let's have a windmill on this side. So let's just put this here. Yeah, let's do that. So if I want to go back to the church and find the church again, I can click the get tool and click the church, and it shows me, it brings me right back to the church again. You have the delete tool and then the raise height, which obviously raises the height of the church. The question mark is details. So for instance, for a sign, you can edit the name at the top, which will then change the name on the sign. So if you're doing a station, then you've got that. Then you've got track. So same with this, you've got this add track. Let's just add a bit of track. We'll use the track I'll use for this. So we've got A06, which is the stuff I like, and let's go straight here. So if you press, I won't press shift. I'll press that, and then let's go corner, but we'll go this like this. And I should not go across the water, so I'm just rough, this is just rough, so let's just go this way and across the water, so straight there, curve, I'm just a bit rough. Next episode I'll do this properly, and actually no, I won't do that, it doesn't matter. So this is, you have plus, move, spline, so you want to move the spline there, same as everything else, get track, delete, split the spline, straighten the track. A question mark is also properties as well. You have the raise, adjust the spline height, delete spline points. So if you have too many, you can delete them. You add spline point and smooth it. Get gradient is the level of the track. So you have it, let's say there, you want to get the gradient for this height. it's -7. So it's -7 from that to the ground, I believe. Yeah, then apply gradient. So there you go. So it shows you the track from one. Yeah, so there you go. You can remove gradient, so it unsmooths it again. You can get track condition, and you can apply track condition to both sides. Track condition is part of this stuff. So if I make this, let's say terrible, and then let's go at 0. So we'll go this, and then we'll apply track condition to both sides. It should then be awful. But if I make that 100% on one side, so let's go 100. Yep, we go, and then let's go track condition here, 100%. So then you can just make it on both sides, and it should then be better condition. I don't know what the track condition does, but it doesn't matter. Default track condition puts it back to 0. Vertex height is 11, so I believe that's the same as this tool, but I think that's slightly different at the same time. And then you have the show curve of radius, it's just 0. So if you want to know how sharp a curve is, that tool is quite handy. And then you have the spline points. So for this, I'll go more in depth in this episode, in the next bit for this, but that's fine. Okay, and then we have the spanner. We have the ruler. So if you want to measure this bit of track, you can do so. It's a real scale, so there we go. So for instance, so if I know this is, so it's 499.9 feet, 499.9 feet in meters is 152.36952 meters. So if you want to, I don't know if you can change that, but I think it might be feet in real life in Trainz, because it's an Australian-based game. But yeah, that's fine. So you have the move the ruler, and then you have delete the ruler. You have then the cameras. Cameras are more for track stuff. I'll do that when we get into Trainz. Copy and paste, so you can copy an area. So let's say this, you can copy the hillside. So if I do, let's for instance do this, and after then, is that going to copy the water? So we copy the water as well. So all I've done here with the grid here. So if I was to copy, I could copy this hillside here and the water and put it like say here. It's quite handy to do if you're just copying and pasting loads of bits. So grass and stuff and other bits and pieces. So if you have a bit of grass like I've got here with trees on it, you can copy the trees and the grass together and spread them out the route. It's quite handy. That's what the pasting stuff does. So if I was to copy, let's say this here, so it covers it exactly as you copied it. So there you go. So you can see exactly what's on there. So exactly on the same side. It's quite good to do, and you can rotate it. So for instance, if I was to do that again and let's paste it in this corner, you've got you've got exactly as I pasted there. So for instance, half the lake, because that's all I copied. It's quite handy to know and quite good to do. You obviously paste the height, so the height, the hillside I made, the textures, the buildings, the track, or the splines. That could also be track splines or building splines. And then you have replace height and objects or add height and objects. Next you have the layers. Layers are really quite good if you need to do certain bits together. So on my own route, I had to build a roundhouse using a big asset, and then to add turntable in and stuff. So I locked the turntable to add in other bits because it would move. They're all part of the objects. It's quite handy to do. And then you have the session layer, which tends to be when you're building a route, the engine save on the session layer rather than your layers. But you could have a route layer with the track engines and stuff on it, because some Trainz routes have default rolling stock and engines down already, so it's quite good to know to do so. Then you have the track and engine. So you have the vehicle mode. So that's front of the engines and tenders, single engines, all the rolling stock, so carriages, coaches, anything else. There's even like if you have some drivable boats, cars, planes, a lot. It's all there. You have add the train, move the train, rotate the train, get the train, delete it, uncouple the carriages, coaches, whatever, and then you have the details. So some of them have scripting in the engines, so you can you can edit them. So for instance, say Grizzly A3 has smoke deflectors, and as a part of the script or as name numbering, you can change the name and number and stuff on it by editing the details. So yeah, and then obviously you have the contests, which tend to be a full train. So like I've got some contests here. You've got BR HST circa 1987 car or BR HST circa 1988 car. These are quite handy to do if you're making a big train. So rather than trying to find each as an individual carriage or coach, whatever, wagon, you can make a contest to do so. It's a lot more time saving, and yeah, pretty much that's pretty much that. So this is a slightly longer episode explaining all the tabs. If you want me to go more in depth with each one in a different, like a separate, like an off video, I will do so. Let me know in the comments down below, and I hope you enjoyed episode 2 of how to build Trainz route. I did maybe go over it quite quick, but you know, it's one of those things you will then pick up over time quicker with the details. This again, this is only a bit temporary kind of thing, but I might make this build up this route for a bit of fun and do more to it as I progress with these episodes. It's kind of fun to do, as I've said before. So let's see how things go, and we will go from there. So hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and I'll stay tuned for more. Subscribe for more content, Trainz stuff. You'll always be Trainz stuff, either my series or history videos or some other random shenanigans to get up to, because I have a few videos planned. Maybe more train spotting, some more TSRBs. My series, of course, is the main thing, because a lot of people do like that. And yeah, so that's all, guys. I hope you enjoyed again, and I'll see you next time. Keep on chuffing.